Alright, this is proof of life for build number 94. This is perhaps the most tricked out 1088 XEL that I've ever sold. It has every single option except for the MIDI input and output, and that's just because that's not listed on the website yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this up and show you the different screens. So for right now, this screen over here is going to have composite S-video. This screen here will have RGB, and this screen up here will have the HDMI, the DVI HDMI. Now I tell you this because you can have simultaneous projection on up to 5 screens. Because what you can do is you can have output on composite, you can have output on S-video, you can have output on DVI, you can have output on RGB, and then you can have also output on a second RGB. So the two RGBs are VBXE and Sophia Revision B. And those can all sit in the same upgrade. In fact, they're on this one. And let's go through it. So, first things first, I am going to start up the screen, and I'm just going to power it up here. Just power this on right there. Bam. You will get some lights here. This is the CF light for the Compact Flash hard drive. This is stereo is set up and engaged, and this is your V-gate, which shrinks the screen so you don't have overscan on high resolution screens. Okay, so it's just booting up here. You see the S-video. I am currently looking for the remote that I just had so that I can switch the television. And there it is. And this is the RGB. And then just change this right here. And then this, ta-da, is your DVI, and I'll show you the info. If you can see, 1536 by 960, 60 hertz. You've got that going. Okay, and then we're all good from that standpoint. So what I'm going to do is just run through a couple of paces here, show you a couple of different things. We're going to primarily be focused on this screen here, and just show you the different things that I go through. So the first thing I'm going to do is press F12, and we're going to do a warm reboot, but that also gets us into the configuration screens for your U1MB, the ultimate 1 megabyte upgrade that's installed in every 1088. So right now, you've got what your system RAM is set up as, and so let's just increase that just a little bit right there. There we go. So right now it's set as a 1 meg Rambo upgrade, which is, you know, pretty standard. But if you've got some software that want a different RAM upgrade for whatever reason, you can press enter on this, and you got your stock 64K. You've got 320K Rambo. You've got 576K Compy Shop, or the 1 meg Rambo. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to switch this. Nope, not that. To S-video mode, because it's a little sharper. See, a little easier to see. That's really nice, isn't it? But the camera doesn't like to go up there. Well, maybe. Let's see if we can do that for you. Maybe that's better, huh? Let's try that. There you go. Yeah. All right. And so you've also got a choice of OS, operating systems. You can do the stock XL. You can do an 800, and that's PAL. You've got this command line operating system, which is somewhat interesting. And then your stock XEGS operating system. You can have BASIC, or Altera BASIC, or the Atari Assembler Editor, or your SynAssembler, machine language assembler, as the basic ROM. And that's what it will boot up as. I leave it as Basic C, which is the most up-to-date BASIC. It's got all the bug fixes. You can have it so that basic is always disabled, or it's the default, which means that you can use the option key like you normally would. SparDOS-X is by default enabled. That is your disk operating system, and it's really what you're going to use to operate the machine most of the time. But it's there to be turned off because John has developed a graphical OS, and I'm going to enable it right now, and I'm going to press B for save and boot, and it's going to go in to the graphical OS, and you notice that it's got some things going on here. You know, a lot doesn't work just yet, but what is there does work. And I'm just using a standard PS2. This is a wireless PS2 mouse, and it works with that, and it also works, the mouse will work with anything that expects an Atari OS mouse, or even things that want an ST mouse. So I'm going to press F12 again. Whoa. Getting seasick with this video. Okay, and put this back in. I want to re-enable SparDOS, which will disable the graphical OS. Boot to loader is if you want to always boot to the load screen for the Compact Flash devices and the XEX loader. This is if you want to disable the cartridge ROM space. If you press the arrow key to the right, there's one way to set the date and time. You can set it at the command line as well. I've set your VBX base at 740. This is the most compatible setting. You can set it to 0640 or 740. Stereo pokey is enabled. You can set a specific RRQ for the second pokey, but I've left that in disabled. GTA VGate enabled. Okay, so your PBI BIOS has to be enabled in order for the Compact Flash hard drives to work, just something to keep in mind. Your device is 0, which is the first device on the chain. The notice is a little version notice that pops up. You want the hard disk enabled. I set your boot drive as D5, just because I think that the floppy should be D1, D2, D3, and D4, so D5 is your first hard drive. Again, by pressing enter, you can change this to whatever you'd like. You can redirect D1 to particular drives so that even though the machine or the software is looking for D1, it actually goes to a different device. You can prevent your hard drives from being written to. If you change compact flashes, you can press shift and reset and it will refresh without a reboot. Slave drive has to be enabled because you've got a dual compact flash setting. The high-speed I/O is set. You can turn it to just do the high-speed SIO for SIO to Bluetooth, or do high-speed SIO for everything plus that, or disable it, or just put high-speed SIO for floppies. It does disk and PC link, which is the SIO to PC, which we'll look in a bit. You can shift them individually for each drive. You can also turn sound on and off. By default, there's no SIO noise when you access an ATR or the compact flash. I like it on, so you can turn it off if you'd like. This is your information screen. It tells you that the BIOS version is 2.07, which is the most public release. The plugins for the Compact Flash are the 1.09. It is an XLXE, NTSC. It says it's got the VBXE is there, and it's stereo. So you're all good. Get you the BIOS menu, cold boot. If it always does a cold boot, the boot logo is enabled, and that's what we saw when we started up. This is will joysticks allow you to navigate the configuration menu. I have this disabled because the mouse will give inputs through the joystick port, and that's somewhat annoying. You can enable it if you'd like, it doesn't matter. Sound, screensaver. This is for Rapidus, if you ever install one. And then all of these things in the brackets, X, B, S, escape, C, D, L, all of these can be pressed on any screen in the configuration menu. So what I'm going to take you to now is press L, and I could highlight this and press enter, or just press L. This boots me into the loader. And so the loader is where I can load software from either the FAT16 partitions on my compact flash disks, or where I can load ATRs from the FAT32 partition, or load anything from any partition except the APT partitions. So if I go back here, right now we have two compact flashes in there. One is a 4 gig SanDisk and one is a 2 gig SanDisk. I'm going to look at the first one here. It's got 4 different partitions. The first is a FAT32, which allows you to just really easily put files on there on your PC, your Windows or your Mac, and then load them on the Atari. The APT are the partitions that are accessed from the Atari OS itself, like Sparta-DOS or Atari-DOS or something like that. The FAT16 partitions are like FAT32 in that you can copy files on them from your computer, but you can also access those files through Sparta-DOS if you have the proper software installed. So I'm going to take you through the loader here. And let's say, for example, that I just want to load a file, and an XEX file, and I want to run it. So I'm just going to highlight this and say, press enter. And then, oh, that's a PAL file, so that's not going to work. Let's do this one. This is a game I used to play when I first had my Atari. It's kind of cute. And then I'm going to try and play it here. This is also a good way to check out the joystick. I hit a key by accident. Okay. All right, so the joystick not installed. Oh, the joystick is not installed. Well, it's not connected. All right. See? We know that works. And you hear how it's going nuts? That's the mouse doing inputs on port 2. Okay, so we know the ports are working, but it's going to put like 10,000 inputs on it. So I'm going to press F12 again. We're going to get back to this. Let's go to the loader. The next thing I want to show you is I want to show you how to load multiple multi-disc games. So for example, this Passamentarius, it's a demo, but it's a multi-disc demo. So you create a map file, which is just a text file telling the DOS where to find the files. Load that. Okay, you can see it loading, right? Now, it says insert side 2, right? So, what we do is we come over to the 1088 and we shrink it a little bit. And right here in the back, you see this button right here, right? So I'm going to press this once. You're going to see that LED light, right? Then we're going to go back. We're going to press enter. And it starts loading site 2. Starts playing the demo, and the LED went out. And it's just a little demo, which I'm going to end. Alright, so the loader. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a complete cold boot, just because I want to go through the process. I'm just going to power off and power on. Now this is my setup. Oh, we forgot to change that. We have to go back and we have to disable boot and save. There we go.